to the 44th episode of Democracy at the Crossroads. In the last episode, we discussed celebrated columnist Swaminathan Iyer's take on the White Paper on Indian Economy, released by the Narendra Modi government on 8th of February. The title of our episode was White Paper's White Lies. Today we'll discuss another celebrated journalist, A.K. Bhattacharya's take on what he calls Namanomics versus Manmohanomics. Narendra Modi and company are trashing the Manmohan Singh's 10 years as a wasted opportunity, a period wasted by paralysis of decision making. Is that really so? What is the fact and what is the fiction? A.K. Bhattacharya, the editorial director of the Business Standard, on his part, has presented a white paper comparing economic management under both the Prime Ministers, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. The essence of Bhattacharya's thesis is this: loud mouths make the biggest noise, but they are not invariably the better performers. Silent managers silently plod. They seek no glory and they mostly end up doing stellar work. Mr. Bhattacharya cites many examples. Take for one this. In the interim budget speech earlier this month, on 1st of February, the Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman outlined the achievements of Modi government in glowing terms. She said, in the new tax regime under Prime Minister Modi, there is no tax liability for taxpayers with income up to 7 lakh rupees, which is up from rupees 2.2 lakh in the financial year 2013 and 14, when Manmohan Singh government presented its last budget. So, Madam Finance Minister was proclaiming aloud, you the small taxpayer, you need to be grateful to the Modi government for more than trebling the income level, enjoying zero tax liability. So far, so good. So what's the conclusion? The Narendra Modi government is people friendly. Friendly to people in the lower income and lower tax bracket. So what was Manmohan Singh government like? Was it anti-people? A.K. Bhattacharya asks rhetorically, guess what was the extent of tax relief during the 10 years of Manmohan Singh government? He gives the answer. In 2003-04, when Bajpayee government demitted office, the income tax liability was zero for annual income up to rupees 50,000. It rose to rupees 2.2 lakh in 2014 when Manmohan government presented its last budget. So, it rose more than 4 times during UPA's 10 years. But there was no boasting about it on 1st March 2014 when P. Chidambaram presented the last interim budget. In fact, the Manmohan Singh government gave bigger relief to small taxpayers, more than 4 times, during its 10 years in office, compared to what Narendra Modi government gave during its 10 years, just above 3 times. Manmohan government did not tom-tom it. It thought it is part of the job of the government. But Narendra government went to town with it. Still, that may be explained as different working style. Some use a bullhorn to hype their average work, while some others choose to let their outstanding work do the talking for itself. Well, you can give concession to those insecure leaders who need to constantly talk about themselves. That's fine. But it becomes vicious when the loudmouth trashes the silent work as lazy, laggard and parasitic. And that is what is happening today. Manmohan Singh, whose record of economic performance was superior to Narendra Modi's, is being damned as a man who wasted the country's 10 years. This is what a propaganda machinery based on manufacturing lies is doing day and night. A.K. Bhattacharya is much more restrained in his observation when he says the Modi government has been acutely conscious of the need to publicize and take credit for how its economic policies have benefited the people. The Manmohan Singh government also used economic policies to improve people's lives, but there was no conscious attempt at projecting their success or effectiveness. Bhattacharya continues. So Sitharaman talked about the income tax relief, while Chidambaram ignored it, even though he could have claimed a bigger credit. Bhattacharya again argues that contrary to the perception being created today, Manmohan Singh government was not devoid of ideas about people-friendly schemes, nor was it laggard in the execution of those schemes. The 3 marquee schemes of the Manmohan Singh government, which have been closely embraced by Narendra Modi government and today the mainstay of its welfare programs, are 1. The Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Scheme, MGNREGS, which was unveiled in 2006. It gave guaranteed work with defined wages to unskilled members of rural households. Second, the National Food Security Act that came into effect in 2013. It made availability of food to the poor people a matter of legal right, no more a matter of charity or a welfare measure at the whim of the party in power. And the third marquee scheme of Manmohan government was the biometric-based identity scheme, Aadhaar. Contrary to the perception created by the propaganda machinery of the ruling dispensation about the Manmohan government's lack of achievement in digital inclusion, Mr. Bhattacharya writes, by the end of March 2014, more than 530 million unique Aadhaar identity numbers had been allotted, which also helped in opening of bank accounts, in facilitating financial inclusion. Mr. Bhattacharya adds, Modi government's digital payment initiative like the UPI was greatly helped by the rollout of the Aadhaar project by the Manmohan government. The Modi government makes big boast of the direct benefit transfer scheme, DBT scheme. But Mr. Bhattacharya writes, the DBT, direct benefit transfer scheme, was launched by the Manmohan Singh government in 2013. And by the end of March 2014, direct benefit transfer had begun to be made under 27 identified schemes. An estimated 5.4 million transactions had been put through by the end of January 2014. Moreover, during this period, Mr. Bhattacharya notes 3,370 crore rupees of subsidy was transferred to 21 million users of cooking gas through their bank accounts. So in effect, what Manmohan Singh government had started in a big way, Modi government has only copied it and expanded it. That's what natural. When Modi government goes out and a new government comes to power, it will also copy, improve and expand what Modi government has done. And that is where Mr. Bhattacharya contests the claim of Modi cheerleaders that the economic policies of the Manmohan government laid stress on creating a sense of entitlement among people. And those of the Narendra Modi government believed in the idea of empowering the people. Entitlement and empowering. Mr. Bhattacharya says the basic tools used by both the governments are the same. How can you make such a distinction without indulging in verbal jugglery? Mr. Bhattacharya enumerates, look at the vast canvas of the welfare schemes of Manmohan government. Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, Rural Housing Scheme for BPL, below poverty line households, the Drinking Water Supply Scheme for rural households, the Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, the National Program for Midday Meal Scheme in schools to promote primary and secondary education, Integrated Child Development Schemes ICDS, and Ajivika, which was aimed at enabling poor households easy access to self-employment and skilled wage employment. Modi government has continued some of these schemes and repackaged and renamed some other schemes. In managing the government finances, in fact, Mr. Bhattacharya says the performance of the Manmohan government has been better compared to Modi government. Mr. Bhattacharya writes, the Manmohan government had to withstand the adverse impact of a global meltdown from 2007 onwards. And it took several initiatives to legally entitle the people to demand government information, demand food and work. Despite all these challenges, the Manmohan Singh government kept the fiscal deficit below 5%. Modi government, of course, had to face the COVID-19 pandemic. But the pandemic crisis was compounded because it came after the Modi government's self-inflicted wounds of demonetization and a flawed GST rollout during its first term. That's what Mr. Bhattacharya says. The result, the Modi government had to settle for a higher fiscal deficit at about 6%. So Manmohan government scored higher in managing the public finances better. So, as Mr. Bhattacharya points out, in some areas the Manmohan government's track record is superior to Narendra regime. Moreover, most pioneering schemes were innovated and introduced by the Manmohan government. Whether it was NREGA, whether it was food security, whether it was Aadhaar, whether it was bank accounts, whether it was direct benefit transfer. Narendra Modi government has merely copied them or repackaged them. There is hardly anything original, but the copycats are now trying to destroy the credentials of the mastermind. Mr. Bhattacharya exposes these imposters very well.